Hello and welcome to the Dale Mike Show on this moon day. You'll see in just a moment what I'm talking about. Mike, are you there, bud?
Yes, I am here, Dale. I am here.
It doesn't look like you're there, but I'm going to take your
Oh,
word
wait.
for it.
There
Oh,
was a partial. There was a full
partial
eclipse
eclipse.
there.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
there was an
All right.
eclipse of. What are we gambling on today, Dale?
Well, this whole thing where the counselors have admitted that they're gambling their reputations, that they've had fairly good reputation with the voters and with Grants Pass residents in general, and
Mm.
they're gambling everything on passing this this Grants Pass sales tax.
Yeah. Well, okay, that will certainly be interesting. Considering the history of Grants Pass citizens and their proclivity towards voting for property taxes. That's going to be interesting.
But the people who question this kind of thing are even being joined by the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
They're being joined by those who before were pressing for every tax that came along. And those same people are saying this is a ridiculous tax. Don't do this. You're going to hurt local businesses.
Yes, politics makes strange bedfellows, as we have said many times before in the past.
Oh, there's the moon. It's coming out behind.
Yes. What I did was I found a good piece of video that has the entire eclipse on it. So if you didn't catch it last night, here it is.
What
And
eclipse?
Yes, what eclipse? And so I took the entire 3 hours, and it is speed eclipsing as we speak, and it will take the entire show, or
Oh, you
most of
mean
it
the show
anyway.
has to last for 3 hours? Mike,
No, no, it's going fast. See how fast it's going already?
no, I
Look at it
don't.
eclipsing. It's eclipsing
Okay.
super
Yeah.
fast. Super eclipse.
What an honest newsman. Okay. So,
Yes.
uh, we're going to
This
talk
is
about
live, by the way.
we're going to talk about
Honest newsman.
it's not dark at 7 o'clock, but okay.
Yes.
It's like that bridge that's always over your back. It's always dark. How does that work?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about two main stories this evening. At least that's the plan. And the first one's about the Grants Pass sales tax, which of course we've never spoken. And then the second one's about Grants Pass and the upcoming rules that are going to affect marijuana. And so you can switch off now if you're tired of those stories. However, we will bring you some things that you probably don't know. You don't need to be in favor of either of those things to watch this. It'll be a little bit of repeat for people who watch every night, but I very often will have someone come up to me that's been following along and say, now what was the deal on that again? And so we do what we can to try not to endlessly reiterate the news, but repeat some of the salient, salt-bearing facts
Yes.
about local stories. Mike?
Because I always like salt with my facts.
Yes. So one of the first things that we're going to show you is about the Grants Pass sales tax is the extent to which Darren Fowler, the mayor of Grants Pass especially, is just, I mean, he drank all of the Kool-Aid. He's gambling everything on this. His reputation, the reputation of his fellow councilors, they're not wavering from this. But wait till you see the reaction that he has to my trying to summarize what happened in that courtroom and the things that we need to know. I know, watching a courtroom thing again, this is not, you're not going to see any courtroom, but hearing a compilation of what happened there and what it was that Mark Bartholomew actually said. He's the city attorney. I think it's instructive, and probably I think so because of the speaker on this video. Well, go ahead and play that video, Mike. Great speaker.
Oh, not this guy again.
Dale Matthews, Grants Pass. On the 18th, we forced City Attorney Mark Bartholomew into the courtroom. Here's what he said. Nothing is permanent. The city can revoke the levy or the utility fee or the sales tax, for that matter, at any time. The city council, as a matter of fact, could have implemented this properties, or I'm sorry, the sales tax, without a vote of the people. However, it would be politically difficult to do so. They say it also, I believe that it would be misleading if the voters, if we were to say the sales tax is permanent because it can be revoked. Remember when you were in high school and you may have fallen in with the wrong crowd, or you may have had some friends do that? You don't need to be part of this wrong crowd that's using these kind of techniques. When people hear this, and they will, they're going to say, what kind of deceptive practice is this? This could be put on or taken off at any time. You could take those things off now. You can put them back on right after the vote. Look, for some of you, this is a lifelong habit of using those kind of techniques. We saw that in trying to pass the levy, didn't we? Where one of your counselors was involved in telling people illegal things to get them to sign to get it on the ballot. I heard him do it. Fellas, and I mean fellas because Lily Morgan's on the other side on this, you don't need to fall in with this kind of group. You'll be remembered for this. And do you like the fact that people are using these kind of tactics in order to be able to influence people? There's no such thing as permanent. How many times were you told that this was going to be a permanent tax to sell you on the idea? So you can no longer use the word permanent? I'll tell you this, the next time that you say permanent in this room, I'll get up and say, no, the judge says that you can't. There's your Pyrrhic victory. There's your victory just to try to do something in the courtroom. It's a perfectly good word, but you won't be able to use it anymore because I will permanently remind you of that.
Mike?
I'm glad that we have a
Mike, stop.
You're a mean man.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think that you're a mean man. How dare you take that word away from them?
You know, thinking about the judgment that the judge made on this, prejudged prejudice. The whole idea that there's no such thing as permanent because nothing in this life is permanent is just, it's a lunatic thing to say. And by a judge? When is this guy up for re-election? This is craziness.
Yeah, you know, I think I rarely pay much attention to these judges because up to now I've not known who any of these guys are. I think it would be wise. We ought to have some citizen duty where you need to go and spend a certain amount of time in that person's courtroom to find out what sort of person they are, you know, and perhaps this would affect the way these guys did business in the future if they knew that a certain number of citizens were sitting in their courtroom to get a flavor of who they are.
Judicial watch.
Yes, exactly.
This is what we do with the people who make the laws, with the county commissioners. Well, I had some guy on Facebook recently that said, well, that Keith Heck, you know, he is honest, thrifty, brave, clean, or whatever that saying is. Really? Really? Have you ever watched any of the videotape? Any of it? The one that we just posted recently where Keith said, well, we've never even met. But they met the day before. Has this guy ever even looked at the tape?
Well, you know, there are a few people that are on social media from time to time who it doesn't really matter to them about that stuff, because what they do is they say, well, the person who provoked them had it coming.
Yeah.
That's the sort of rationale that they use. So it doesn't really surprise me.
That moon is jumping all over the place. Is that what it
Well,
did last night?
No, the guy, is, I guess probably had to, well, I know he had to reposition his camera because, of course, not only is the moon being eclipsed, but it's also moving at the same time. And he didn't
sure
have,
was moving. I just saw it move.
yes. And he didn't have a, one of those
tracker
fancy
things?
pedestals
Yeah.
that tracks it. Yeah. So,
Well, I think we can live with
I
that.
guess I just need to pay a little bit more for my video next time. This is
we need a moon watch. That's
this is what it is. Listen,
moon watch.
if you didn't watch the eclipse last night, this is the best I can do for you. Okay, you couldn't be bothered to step outside and look up.
No, I did. I went out there several times, and I don't know. Maybe the clouds are only over my house permanently, right?
I don't remember any clouds.
Where the moon is. It's up, right? I mean, I think that it is.
Generally speaking, it's up, and early on in the evening, it's down near the horizon, and then later it's up higher.
Really? Okay.
Yes,
Well, I live right next to a little river thing here, and I don't know, maybe there was...
Yeah, the Rogue River. A river thing, yes.
Yes, a river thing. So I think that was me trying to tell people the kinds of things that I didn't know any of this, and this wasn't advertised. Where have you been hearing this? We're going to get to that. Where else are you hearing any of these things? Not on KJO, that's for sure. Okay, so here is the response from the mayor.
Responsible firm that represents us and qualified personnel and Mark, that our city looked very professional at that hearing. And so no matter what was said earlier about what the judge said or how that went, anybody that looked at or was there would know how easy it was for that judge to come down on the side he came down.
Yes. He went to a dictionary and he found a word to redefine. That's what he did. That is one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard.
Well, this is why I didn't tell you about it, because I love your spontaneous reaction to these. It was easy for the judge to make that judgment.
Yes, of course it was, because he was biased from the get-go of the thing.
He prejudged the whole thing. He is a judge that prejudged. It was prejudice.
He looked up the word permanent and he went, wow, it's not permanent like that. For crying out loud.
Permanent, which means it lasts forever.
Long before permanent happened.
Right. And it lasts forever and ever and ever.
And ever. Amen.
And this one particular law will not last till the end of time.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good.
Because as we all know, if people get, if they wake up, and they get real interested, and then they all get together, then they can overturn this. Except the city council has pointed out, Judge, that they can put it back on or take it off anytime they want to, and it doesn't matter what your vote is. Perfect example is the people who put the property tax on in the city of Grants Pass. I don't think they're right, but they wanted to do so. They won that vote. That's now, if this passes, is going to be nullified. Their vote's going to be nullified. How do you like that? This is the other side, but their vote will be nullified simply because the city council says so. Really? Now, wait a minute. Where's the respect for the voters? Their vote is being eclipsed.
Yes. As we speak. See that? That's the vote being eclipsed right there.
Happy Moon Day. Yeah, I get it. Okay. All right. So now, after these are two great quotes from the mayor. One was this one, and the other one was, well, if it's not working out, Mike Jones, then, and half of the business go out of business in our area, as a paraphrase, then I think we'll keep it going for about another year or two, just to see, if we can drive the other half of businesses out of business.
Yeah, it's silly.
He did say that they would keep it going for maybe a year or two. Really?
Mm-hmm.
This is the current mayor. He's up for re-election, and so is Art Harvey. Have I ever told you about that? The guy's going to be counting his own votes. Yeah, I know you don't know that. So, so here's what I said that morning. I think it was that morning. Well, it was also on Wednesday to the county commissioners about why we aren't hearing any of this news except for our show. I mean, I'm glad that you're hearing it, but still, where's the other media? Is there another medium in town? There purports to be. Let's see what this brilliant guy has to say. Yes, sir.
Dale Matthews, Grants Pass. In court the other day, Mark Bartholomew, the city attorney, said that in this upcoming sales tax, that the city could put the sales tax on any time without a vote of the people. Really. And he also said that the city has the power to revoke the vote at any time they wish to. So, see, I wondered why that wasn't in the Daily Courier, because that's a pretty important quote. So I wrote a letter to the editor. It used to be if you wrote a letter to the editor, you could criticize the editor or the newspaper. Not anymore, not in our town. Because when I wrote those quotes, the exact quotes, every odd er, I put down at the end, gosh, why isn't this in the Daily Courier? You can find the video at badcounty.com. Well, the editor decided to cut that part out. Really? You can do that with letters to the editor? Yes. Cut it out. Now, the judge also said that inclusion of the word permanent in the headline, the part at the top, would be false and deceptive to the people. It would. Because the city council's been calling it a permanent tax all along. It's been in the newspaper. In fact, the article that wrote about it, Jim Moore wrote, had the word permanent in the article twice about how this is a permanent tax. But see, the judge said that would be false and deceptive. Well, now, wait a minute. It wasn't in the headline, but it was in the text a couple of times. Well, but the judge didn't say, you've got to change that because it's false and deceptive. Does the city council know that they've been false and deceptive all the time with what they've been saying about this tax? Another thing that's not in the Courier is the fact that the Republican Central Committee, arguably the largest political group in our area, has voted to oppose this tax. Where's that in the Courier? Where's that on KJO? How come we're the only ones that are talking about this? See, according to the Board of County Commissioners, what I do, coming up on 300,000 views, that's not media, and that's not media of any kind. Why? Stop referring to yourself as media. Except we're the only ones carrying the news some of the time. We eat their lunch on a daily basis. Yet we're not media of any kind, you see. So if you really are interested in seeing what the commissioners have to say about something like county fire, you can see the entire commissioners' meeting about that subject in their words without interruption. Or you can watch our nightly show and watch us interrupt them and make fun of them. And in addition to that, you could go the next day, which is Monday night, and you could see the entire point of view from County Fire, because we interviewed 3 of them live on our show, and they have a few things to say. It won't be in the Courier.
What a blowhard.
So in the background, Jim Moore is there with the new reporter that's going to replace him. And he's laughing and laughing, Jim Moore is. Why is this guy laughing?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Like Steve Rich, what did you do with my moon? Like Steve Rich, it's what, 20 years of living under this. They're not covering the news, they're covering up the news. We only exist because the Courier is such a poor newspaper.
Well, lucky us.
No, that's why I call the TV stations and I tell them, I say, listen, you don't have to watch our commentary. Don't like commentary, fine. You know, they do, but you don't need to watch that. because nobody else is, they're not even doing commentary, right? They're TV stations. They could. And so just go look at the videotape that we shot of what the commissioner said today. And I tell them about it. I said, feel free to use any of the quotes. You can use the video if you like. And I tell them the only reason I'm doing that is it's not about money, because there isn't any money. It's not about that. We just want to be sure that people are informed. And so if you've got some guy like, you know, I don't have to mention his name because he's not a public figure, Diane. When he says something like, you know, well, that Keith Hickey's a wonderful guy. Yeah. Do you ever watch the tape?
Yes.
Ever?
Yes, very interesting.
What kind of wonderful guy calls people names at a meeting? We're not doing that, but he is. He's an elected official. Yeah. He lied about you, Mike.
I think this is just, it's what happens to some people, be they so inclined. Being elected and having this extra power just pushes them over the edge, and they can't help themselves, and this is who they become.
Wow. You know,
this is the blood moon that you're seeing.
I think it's too big to be a moon. What was that line from Star Wars? It's too big to be a moon, or something like that.
No. That's no moon.
That's no moon. That's yeah. Well, they found out what it was.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, the Dark Lord is up there somewhere. Darth Vader. Don't get excited. Okay. So more news. That's a couple different angles on a prime story of things that are happening lately. I don't like the idea of beating a dead horse. As a matter of fact, I don't like the idea of killing two birds with one stone. Can't we take pictures of the birds? Do we really have to kill them every time that we're using them as an analogy?
Hey, you know what? Maybe they're feeding little children with those birds that they killed with one stone.
The birds are eating out the eyes of the little children, and that's why you've got to kill them.
Okay, well, both of those scenarios are a good thing.
It depends on the children, but okay, all right. So,
okay. Wow, we're making friends tonight.
Oh no, it's terrible. They're serious. No, we're never serious. Shut up. Okay, so here is an interesting story from the Medford Mail Tribune. Now, who's going to tell you stories to the Medford Mail Tribune? Gold Hill Pot Dispensary prepared to fight city tax.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we were at that meeting. We played back tape from that. I know it's Gold Hill, but there's some interesting things happening there. It's the only city in all of Oregon that was taxing a marijuana store. And they did it because they said, well, we're going to have a need for more police because this is going to attract all kinds of problems. As it turned out, they gave it more than a year, and it didn't attract all kinds of problems. As a matter of fact, the city councilor said, you know, actually, they're wonderful neighbors, and we don't even hear a peep out of them.
Isn't this kind of old news?
Well,
isn't that kind of old news, though? Because, I thought they were already going to lift that tax.
Yes. So what happened is that the first meeting I went to that they ever had, that I ever went to, not that they ever had, sorry, that we've ever had. They said, well, we're going to have someone come in and comment about this. But before the person comments, let's take a vote about getting rid of the tax, which seemed to be kind of backwards to me. And also, it wasn't on the agenda. And this guy came in and they said, well, he's going to talk, but there wasn't anything on the agenda about they're also going to take a vote, because there could have been people say, I don't want you to lift the tax, or I love the lifting of the tax, or, you know, what kind of tax, or what's pot? I mean, they could have said a lot of things. They never had the chance. So at the next meeting they had, because they have them every 2 weeks, they said, you know, we kind of didn't do that right. Part of it may have been because of something I said about, you know, procedure. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the vote again. Really? Yeah, we're going to take the vote again, except this time we're going to do it right, and we're going to tell people about it, and then they can come to speak about it. Which Bree from Bree's Botanicals, which is the store in question, the one and only there, the only one that's been taxed in the whole state. She showed up, as did I, and then we all found out together that they had, at the last minute, abruptly canceled the meeting. No notice went out. There was just something on the front door saying, go away, or whatever it said. So I got a chance to meet her. She seemed like a nice person. This is meeting somebody. Okay. This is telling a joke. This is meeting somebody. Right. Okay. So, so we all went home. It's a little bit of a ride for me, but whatever. Okay. So, but it looks very obvious that what they're going to do is, in fact, they even said it. The only reason we're doing this is to have the proper procedure. So I wanted to ask Bree, what the heck are you doing here? Because it looks like it's going to be okay. Gold Hill Pot Dispensary prepared to fight city tax. You know, honestly, just to analyzing it, I don't think they need to do that. Why are they sending a letter to these guys saying, you know, you better not do it? They've indicated they have no intention to do that. Yeah. Well, I think I have the answer. And it ties in with the court appearance.
Okay.
Their lawyer is the guy that was sitting next to me on our side, Robert Graham.
Oh, boy.
Now, what do you have to say about the performance that day of Robert Graham, the guy that was walking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth?
Yeah, I would not have him as my attorney. You know, I'm not an attorney, but I understand that when you're in a courtroom and you're making a case before the judge, and the judge is going to be the guy making the decision, you don't become combative with him or argumentative. I mean, you make your argument, but you're making it to the court, not to the judge. And you know, his style rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, he kept trying to, the judge literally was trying to rope me into, was trying to do rope-a-dope. He was trying to rope me into arguing with him about the meaning of the word permanent. And he tried, how many? 4 times, 5 times? And I said, Judge, I'm not going to argue that with you because you've already made your opinion clear. But wouldn't you agree that this is I said, I'm not going to argue that with you. You've made your opinion clear. I'm not going to win that argument. So I'm going to go on to the reason that we're here, not the definition of the word permanent. Because his definition was, in my opinion, whacked out to begin with. What? There's no permanent in this life? Because nothing in existence is permanent? What the?
And the attorney there, you know,
Bob Graham.
Yeah, he argued that a little bit with him, and it wasn't going anywhere. So there's, you know, I mean, powers of observation. Yes, okay, that's not working out. Let's not do that.
Well, it doesn't mean that Bob Graham was wrong, but he kept getting into it. And every time the judge would bring it up, Bob would, well, yes, I don't agree. Hey, Bob, give it up, buddy. The first time the judge said that, I looked over at you, Mike, and I went, I might as well go home.
Yeah,
this is over.
Permanent.
He said, well, I've already over, and you can say what you have to say, but I've analyzed the case. Oh, well, okay, that's nice. So it was easy, says the mayor, that the judge would come to this decision. It was easy for the judge.
Yeah, it was.
Show up. Why bother? Yeah. Right. If you're going to use that kind of logic, really. Okay. Gee, I hope that you can't be held in contempt of court, because I am in contempt of this court, unless you're in the courtroom. I mean, if you're walking around whistling a tune and saying, that was a dumb judge, can you get in trouble? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, but I'll watch over my shoulder here. So,
well, I mean, listen, if that were the case, it would then be illegal to vote them out of office, because in order to vote them out of office, you would have to think somehow ill of their performance, or at least prefer someone else over them. And, you know, so anyway.
Well, it would be disrespectful to vote them out of office. We hear that kind of stuff from the commissioners all the time.
Yes. Yes. How nice.
Say a little couple more things, Mike.
Oh, okay. A couple of more
don't
things.
Don't sit there and watch me
might
doing
see
this. And then
that well, I don't know what you're doing. I have no idea. Yes, you can see that the guy's fiddling the camera around. Now, as the photography here, going through the eclipse, you have to make a number of adjustments to your camera because, of course, the moon is very bright. So you have to, make adjustments on the white balance and your aperture setting. And then, once it goes into this full eclipse blood moon stage, you have to open that aperture way up because there's not as much light coming through. And then they'll have to, flip it around once this thing starts lighting back up again.
Now be honest, that's actually footage of the stealing of that lawn sign that was against the levee. And I want to know, what was the license plate? What pattern were on the seat covers?
Listen, does this guy not think that if that was available to us, we certainly would have used it? No, this was just an illustration. We knew for a fact that it was a no new taxes sign because we knew the guy, and Vivian told me about this guy because she had been giving him signs to put up. And of course, as soon as they stole this one, she went and replaced it with another one. So it was a fruitless task. But, don't you think if we had a better image? I mean, this is my beef with security cameras, because I've had security cameras before and had, I had this one guy who was stealing the light bulbs at my building. And he would come up and just, take the light bulbs. Well, I put some cameras up. So what would he do? He'd see where the cameras were. He would back up to it, reach up and take it out. So you couldn't see his face. And then the guy started doing the same thing, sneaking up on the cameras and cutting the cameras loose, stealing the cameras.
To take a light bulb?
Yeah, listen, the guy was just being a troublemaker, But
this is my beef with some of the people on Facebook, as an example. Why do you go there? Because there are some interesting things happening there, and you can get much more news or opinions from people than you can from anywhere else, because, partly because they're trying to get attention. And so some guy says, well,
and you can aggregate your stuff a lot faster on Facebook.
It aggravates me a lot faster. That's right. I'm aggravated. Exactly. All right. And so this guy's saying, well, this footage that you had, how come you're not telling us the license plate? Because it wasn't obvious. It was one of those dinky security cameras. We were lucky to see that there was a sign and a car. Well, what kind of car and what were the seat covers made out of?
But this was not the silly part, though. The silly part of this is that earlier on, he had claimed that both sides were deceptive.
Oh, yeah.
During the campaign. And I said, oh, okay, well, what are you talking about? And, he took forever to come back. And then he mentioned that. And I said, well, I personally went over to that guy's house and helped him get the footage off of his DVR so that we could play it on the program. So that's all that's there. And I know for a fact that it was a no new taxes sign. And I verified his information. And then I said, what else you got? And
but Mike, if you don't have interviews with both sides, with the people that stole it and the people from whom it was stolen, not really a journalist.
And by the way, if you are the person who stole it out there, I want to interview you. Okay.
Right. You're proud of yourself, aren't you? Yes. Well, everybody was stealing signs. I hate this. Everybody.
That is ridiculous. First of all,
you couldn't find any signs.
You couldn't find any pro-levy signs. This was weird
why?
Thing.
Because they were all stolen.
Yes. No, you know what? This was the early indicator that this thing was not going to fly at all. Is that literally, people were so sick of this levy process that even if they were for it, they weren't putting signs out.
Right.
And you know what? This kind of speaks to the psychology of this majority minority thing. Because when you come to a weekly business session and the whole place is full of your people, you feel a little bit more secure, and you're going to get up there and you're going to pound the podium and things like that. But if you come there and it's crowded with the other side, you're going to shrink back into the corner. And also the officials that are there seeing that are going to assume that's the way things are. Well, the opposite had occurred, during the levy thing. You didn't see a whole lot of pro-levy signs exactly for that reason, is that people had known for years and learning for years that this thing gets shot down every time. And this was, and they've been doing these back to back like every 6 months or something. They've been doing one in November and another one in May. It's just ridiculous. So
this is the gamble that they're taking. They see those chips. They want that money.
Yes.
But there's a mousetrap. And
Right.
if you're a rat, okay, no, I won't go
That's
that
the
far.
political price that you're paying. Yes.
Yes, and they are gambling their reputations. They're good reputations. Really? You're going to gamble it on this? This thing was probably written by Mark Bartholomew. That's the best that we can figure, because no one's confessed that they even wrote it. I couldn't even turn in the papers to the right guy, because he said to me, despite what he said in court, I don't know who wrote it.
Yeah.
That's what he said. I know what he said. I know what Dan Mancuso said. We're not going to run a story because my advertisers wouldn't like it. It doesn't matter if Dan says I never said that. I know what you said, Dan. So,
well, if you noticed, Dale, in court, he said that you lied, and that he certainly would have told you that, but he never said who wrote it.
No.
I'll tell you right now who wrote it. He could have done that, but he didn't.
Well, and this, I certainly would have told him, thing doesn't hold up very well, since the other thing that I said was I was trying to turn the papers into the right people, and he wouldn't tell me who they were. Yeah. Well, so if I certainly would have told him that there's your acid test, if he was going to certainly tell me, to be fair, then why didn't he tell me to turn it into?
Yeah.
I only asked him who wrote it, so I know I turned it into the right person. So none of that makes any sense. You don't need to look very far to figure out who's telling the truth and not the truth. We try all the time, and if we get something wrong, we led the show the other day with something was not quite right, that they were adding on 7 positions, but one of them could end up being a sheriff's deputy. It could. And another one was mostly about redefining roles to say that they're doing more things. Now, they could end up getting higher salaries because their roles have been redefined. So it wasn't completely wrong, but it was enough wrong that we need to tell you that this was the best that we knew at the point. Now we know a little bit more. Now you know a little bit more. Or you feel a whole lot better. I don't, but at least we're telling you what we know. Okay, we're trying. All right, now one other thing I wanted to do during tonight's show was explain to you something that maybe you don't know. Okay, look. Mike doesn't smoke marijuana. I don't smoke marijuana. But the rules are changing on Thursday. And so maybe it is your neighbor or maybe your nephew or somebody else that thinks, oh boy, I'm going to smoke marijuana. And so one thing that could possibly be helpful to you is to know what the rules are come Thursday. Okay, number one, you must be at least 21 years old. If you're going to fit within the law. You don't need to be 21. You don't need to be 8 to smoke marijuana. But if you're going to do it legally, you must be at least 21 years old, not 18. Beer is 18. Marijuana is 21.
No, beer's 21 too.
It is? In Oregon?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, as I said, sometimes I'm completely wrong. Okay, you know that already.
Most of the time, yes. You're always wrong. Dale is always wrong, and he always lies.
Well, that's what the HR director says. You always are lying. That's nice. Okay, that's when I said you're a great public servant. Okay, you can use recreational marijuana or somebody that's interested in doing so, or they call adult, at home or on private property, but using it in public is illegal. Well, drinking a beer in public, not in someone's backyard party, but drinking it as you're walking down the sidewalk is illegal. And in that way, marijuana is the same. You can use it at home.
I'm going to make a prediction.
Yes.
Starting on Thursday, the likelihood that you're going to smell marijuana burning is going to be a lot higher.
Right. Now, one of the things not included in the rules, and Mike and I talked to the chief of police about this, and we also talked with the sheriff about it, is, and you may have heard this, and if you had, sorry, if the police pull you over for improper use of a turn signal or something, and they find an open container, or a container that has been opened, even if it's resealed, of whiskey, then you're in trouble. Well, so we said to him, tell him what we said to him, Mike.
Well, we asked, okay, what if you got a half smoked joint in the ashtray, and they can see that? Then what? And he said, there's no rules there's no law in place. You would consider an open container of alcohol an open container, has a specific violation to it, but a half smoked joint, no. And listen, I mean, it's the exact same thing when you think about it, because you don't know when they drank whatever whiskey was in that bottle. Maybe they went somewhere over to a friend's house. They drank some whiskey over there. The guy left his bottle there. Then 2 weeks later, he went back over, stopped by the guy's house. The guy hands him his half a bottle of whiskey back, and then he takes it home. He's not under the influence at all, but that's a violation.
Or this guy's a designated driver. He didn't have a drop because he's a teetotaler. He dropped everybody off at their home and insisted on seizing the whiskey bottle from his friend.
There you go. Yeah, so there's a lot of problems with this. Well, and of course, I guess the solution to that is to make that open container of whiskey ride in the trunk. I believe that's legal.
I think so. Now, driving under the influence of marijuana remains illegal on Thursday and afterwards. You can possess up to 8 ounces, not you, but your nephew can possess up to 8 ounces.
Which is a massive amount of weed.
In your home.
That's a lot.
And up to 1 ounce outside the home. So if you have an ounce and a half outside your home and you're possessing it, it's illegal.
Listen. If you're walking around with an ounce of weed, you have got a lot of marijuana. An ounce is a huge.
Your llama is carrying it for you. Okay.
Yes.
But you possess the llama if you think you can possess any other sentient being in this universe.
Oh my God.
For now, you can't buy marijuana concentrates for now, or edible marijuana products. Can't buy them. They're only for medical marijuana card holders. So
does that change anytime? Because they're doing that in Colorado, by the way.
Not at this point, not in Oregon. Now, we have different laws coming up starting at Thursday, but if somebody thinks, gee, I don't want to smoke anything, I don't want it in my lungs, but I'm gonna eat some of it because I'm gonna have marijuana cookies made for me by Rika Brown. You can't. It's illegal.
I'll be darned.
Sorry, Rika. Okay. The price marked on the product, except what it used to be in Gold Hill, that's all you will pay. On January 4th, the state will begin charging 25% sales tax.
Wow.
Wow is right, buddy.
That's amazing. 25%. I thought it was 20%. I thought it was 17%. And then the municipalities have the option of adding another 3% on. That's what I remember.
But that's still a lot. Okay.
Right.
And,
but where does 25 come from?
Well, I've heard now both numbers. So what is the case?
I don't know.
I have some notes here. Talk for just a little bit about that, would you please?
Okay. Yes. As you can see here, there's a little bit of cloud cover wafting through this, this videotaping of the moon. The eclipse of the moon is coming out of the eclipse right now. And obviously there's some cloud cover there, which didn't happen here. It was perfectly clear, despite what Dale tries to tell us. It wasn't obscured at all, and you could see it quite well. Although it was a little bit of a bummer that it was difficult to find when the moon first came up because it was already kind of in the blood moon stage. I mean, it was pretty dark because this at boy, what was it? I believe that it started at like 7:30 Eastern time, which of course is, so, hours later, by the time it gets dark here, the thing is already halfway through the whole thing. And so it was sort of fully in the blood moon stage by the time it got up. And it's jumping around now here because the guy's changing the camera around. Anyway, just a little,
so it's not easy. It's not easy
trivia
to do a montage if you can't point in the same place all the time. That's just not easy. But we're lucky that Mike has this.
Well, and there's a number of it was great. Facebook was loaded with fantastic photographs from last night. This morning when I got up, and there's a local photographer, Urshel Hogan. I hope that I'm saying his name correctly. And he did one just right outside his house. That's fantastic. It has that arc of, bunch of different, each phase of the moon. There's like 20 of them there, and pretty neat looking stuff.
Well, there are
you can find it all over
that have happened at this moment. And one of them is we're right at the limit of our time that we usually try to be a little less than an hour. And I can't find the rest of my notes. So that says,
well, we could run the little recreational marijuana piece from KDRV.
Oh, please do run that. We play back other people's media so we can look at it and laugh a little bit, and so that you can see how other people cover the news. Yes, please do play that, Mike. Thank you. Yeah,
eventually,
not very loud.
No.
Yeah.
In just 4 days, people 21 and over can buy recreational marijuana.
Newswatch 12's Jacqueline Abad shares how local dispensaries are getting ready for the 1st of October while dealing with some restrictions on what they can and cannot sell.
Here at the Talent Health Club, they set up this stand where they'll have recreational cannabis available, but people can only buy up to 1/4 of an ounce. Unlike those with a medical marijuana card, people can only buy up to 1/4 of an ounce of cannabis per day and an unlimited amount of seeds. But they will not be able to buy edibles, concentrates, or topicals. While some in the Rogue Valley are upset about the change, others believe this will improve the economy in Southern Oregon.
This whole thing is going to be really good for, a lot of families and people who are, connected to dispensaries who make a little bit of money off of it.
Talent Health Club is getting ready for recreational customers come this Thursday.
We're really excited for the end of Prohibition, and as Talent Health Club is a beacon in the community, we're here to offer cannabis and information resources so that everyone can celebrate with us a new day in Oregon.
The shop will be celebrating their first day with a grand opening from 2 to 6 in the evening. Talent Health Club will be enforcing ID checks to make sure people are of age. They say they're happy to answer any questions about recreational cannabis and the difference between what is legal and what is not. In Talent, Jacqueline Abad, Newswatch 12.
Yeah, Talent Health Club. That's a little deceptive. I think maybe just a little bit deceptive.
It's healthy herbs and spices.
Yes.
Did you? Maybe I don't watch the news on that channel as much, but did you recognize any of those people? They've got big turnover at these stations.
Yeah, they do. And you know what? I used to have some channel loyalty there to Channel 10. I would watch that every morning. Now I go on there. I don't recognize any of these people. It's blown for me now. I can't. It doesn't matter. I watch any one of them. Channel 5, Channel 10, Channel 12. That's all the same.
When I was a little kid, Jerry Dunphy was on KTLA, I think. And even as a little kid, hey, Jerry Dunphy, I know that guy. Well, nobody stays anywhere. But see, we're definitely a tertiary market. We're not a primary or a secondary. We're a tertiary market. And so people are punching their ticket, kind of like Simon Harris probably doing. And then they're on for other places.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, goodbye. I hope that they can hang on to their Daily Courier reporters a little while longer to let them at least kick in and start doing some modern reporting. By modern reporting, I mean generally you get a couple of sources. That would be nice.
I would tend to think that the the local newspaper reporter people would hang around a little bit longer, because there's a little bit different thing happening there than what happens at these TV stations. At these TV stations, you got young people, they're just out of high school or just out of college, and they have majored in communications or something like that, and they want to do some time in some backwater market, and then go and jump into the big city market. And a number of them have done that from here. And so that's what these people are doing. They're doing their time in Medford. Some of them are, staying long term, but most of the time it's in and out.
And in newspaper land, because of the fact that it's dinosaur work, you have to major in paleoarchaeology.